hi there. We've been away for a couple of days over the weekend. We are back live now with you on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. It's your show here on EWTN Radio. Along with you, Debbie Georgiani is here, and I am Jerry Usher. And we're going to be talking today about something that I think probably impacts everybody's life who is listening to the program today, Debbie.
I agree. I totally agree. But I just want to say, I think I could speak for you, Jerry. Our hearts start to palpitate when we stay away too long from the Take Two family. So 2 days, long enough. We're back. It's Monday. And Jerry, you put this on the calendar. I think it's very appropriate since a lot of people are giving it up for Lent. Why don't you share with our listeners the topic? Because I know we will have full phone lines.
Well, it's real simple. How much do you use social media? And are you among those who have given it up for Lent or cut back? That is one of the many millions of things we can sacrifice during Lent. But how much do you use social media? Obviously, it's been around for quite a while now. It's got its very seedy, ugly side to it, a very, just vicious, hateful, a lot of stuff out there. And at the same time, it can be used for many, many good things, like Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We have a Twitter account. We want to get the word out to more and more people to draw them to the show, to Christ, to his church, to salvation. So social media is a real mixed bag, and we want to hear from you about your social media habits. Have they changed over the years? What about with your kids? Do you monitor? Do you limit? These kinds of things. Let's talk about it today on the program.
Please dial in. You'll speak to Matt Gabinski. He is wonderful to talk to, very easy to talk to. You'll get along great with him. You just dial this number, 1-833-288-3986, and be on the show, talk about social media. A lot of us have to use it for work. We understand that it can be used for good, but also, everything that really can be used for a great good also can be used for a very devastating, evil. And so we really want to talk about that. I've always said that social media is the devil's playground, and then I get a lot of emails that say, I have to use it for work. I don't have a choice. So do I. I totally understand that. But you do have to admit that there's a platform there where you can hide and be able to target and destroy people and ruin lives via the internet like that. Social media, it's very dangerous. So let's talk about it. We always talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And by the way, let me just go back to when I said, we spent 2 days away from our Take Two family. It's a long 2 days. I know, Jerry, you and I talk about it. We usually, get ready for the week on Sunday, and we talk about it's withdrawals. We miss the Take Two family. So this is what we're trying to say. If you don't call in, Jerry and I are going to have a lousy Monday, just a lousy Monday. So you got to fill the phone lines and keep us company because we're kind of addicted to you, the Take Two family. We really are. And we're proud of it, right, Jerry?
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of put a different spin on what Debbie just said, when you do call in, you always make it a great show. Mm-hmm. And you have something to say about this today. Social media, the use of it. Have you ever been banned or taken off of one of the social media platforms for a time? I have friends who have been put in what they call Facebook jail for posting, the various political comments or things about COVID or what have you. And what about the whole, power structure that social media is, and how much control that they have? Do you want to talk about that? How much control they have really over the national and actually global conversation about just about any topic? So there's so much we can talk about on this topic today of social media, but you have to take the lead. Phone lines are open at 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
And if any of our young, very, very young, because we like to think everybody's young here at Take Two, but our very young listeners, like our teenagers, if you're listening right now, you happen to be at home and you're listening or in the car riding with your folks, please be very careful what you put on social media. I just read another story of a young gal. She had everything going for her. She posted some things on social media many years ago, and and she's still young. She's in her 20s, late 20s, but she posted it many years ago before there was all the Facebook. It was prior to that, MySpace, I think it was called. Anyway, it's now come back to haunt her, and she's going to ruin her whole entire future and all of her God-given gifts because of something that was posted. Somebody has it. It's never, everybody thinks, oh, well, what's that one platform where you can delete it right away and it's never to be seen again? That's so untrue. Why do we believe that stuff?
I don't know. But you make a fantastic point. There's a sign in many radio station control rooms. The control room is where the announcer sits and the microphones are, and there's a sign in many of those control rooms that says, if you don't want it on the air, don't say it in this room. In other words, be careful. Don't say anything you would not want the world to hear in that room. Same with social media. Don't say anything that you don't want, A, the world to read, and B, to be able to permanently read. Don't put it on social media. So I think there's a lot of very knee-jerk posting that goes on, Debbie. People don't think. Emotional. Yeah, emotional posting on social media. Great word for that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. People are reacting on social media instead of responding. Let's ask our producer, Ace McKay. He's so good at this. I can't remember. It's going to be driving me crazy now all day. Which is the platform? Is it Snapchat, Instagram? The one that the kids can take a picture and then instantly remove it. They believe it's deleted. It's Snap. Okay. So that's what it's called. Snap. Is that called Snapchat or something?
Snapchat, yeah.
Snapchat, yeah. He just wrote Snap for short. Like he thought I was going to understand that. I don't understand any of these platforms. I really don't care about these platforms. Jerry, honest to goodness, I wish we didn't have to rely on social media for marketing, for ministry and stuff like that. I really do. But everybody does. That's just the way it's going in news and media and stuff like that. But Ace just said I'm hip. Hip to be square. Wasn't that a song by Huey Lewis?
Huey Lewis in the News, yeah.
We should do another song. We should do another show on what'd you say? There's a song.
There's a song in that, yeah.
There's a song in that. We should do that. Yeah, let's put that on the calendar. We'll put that on the calendar for after Easter. But right now we're talking about social media. Weigh in. This is important. Thousands of folks are listening right now, and they're absorbing everything you have to say. So please dial in. Don't sit this out. Don't think somebody else is going to step up and do your work. We need you, the Take Two family. 833-288-3986. I'm ready, Jerry. How about you?
I am. So folks, switch over from your social media accounts to your phone and call 833-288-3986.
Vivi la verità, vivi cattolico.
Mabuhay sa katotohanan. Isabuhay ang pagiging katoliko.
Vivez selon la vérité. Vivez en catholique.
In any language, it means the same. Live truth. Live Catholic. EWTN.
Each week on The World Over, Raymond Arroyo challenges listeners and viewers with important political and cultural reporting and analysis of a wide variety of topics of interest to Catholics and people of faith. And you can get news from the world over in your inbox every week. It's easy. Visit EWTN.com and click subscribe. EWTN, the Global Catholic Network.
He was a 10th century saint, priest, mystic, and doctor of the Church, honored as the first poet of Armenia.
Matthew Bunsen and the Doctors of the Church.
Gregory of Narek is revered by Armenians as a watchful angel in human form. His masterwork, the Book of Lamentations, was intended to be his last testament, an encyclopedia of prayer for all nations. He was named a Doctor of the Church in 2015.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
Join Father Joseph Mary Wolfe this season of Lent as we journey together with Christ on his way to the cross. You can sign up to receive weekly Lenten meditations and this year's Lenten ebook at EWTN.com/Lent.
Go ahead.
We are here, and we're glad that you are there. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Ace McKay is our producer. Jeff Burson on social media. Matt Gabensky is screening your calls at 833 288-3986, asking your take on social media today. What kind of conversations do you like to start or jump into when you see them going around the global internet? Talk about your kids' usage. What about is there anybody like me? I don't think I posted. My accounts are still up, Facebook and Twitter, but I don't think I posted for about 3 years on either one of them. I just got to the point where I thought, you know what? There's so many people just hating out there and so much stuff. I've taken a hiatus, and I don't know if I'll go back to it. But we want to talk with you about your use of social media. 833-288-3986. And as we get set to go to the calls, I'm going to tell you about a unique plaque from EWTN's religious catalog. It's Veronica's Veil plaque. It's a large ceramic mold of Veronica's veil, the cloth piously believed to have been used to wipe the face of Christ on the way to Calvary, and is one of the major relics preserved at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. This beautiful holy reminder is a hand-painted piece about 11 inches wide by 16 inches high, available now at EWTNRC.com, where you get free standard shipping for online orders $75 or more in the continental United States. Use code FREE at checkout and you'll be all set.
I don't mean to mess up your idea of putting this on the calendar, but may I interject something that I'm very curious about? Do you mind? No. You're okay with it? Okay. I want to ask our listeners, our Take Two family, have you ever gotten into a feud on social media with your friends or family members, and it ended with you guys, absolutely walking away from the relationship?
Unfriending each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't it? Then you go even one step further and you block each other or something.
Unfriending, blocking. Yeah, it's
terrible. It's terrible. You basically erase that person. It's just it's a way of canceling that person. Has that ever happened to you, or have you done that? Now, you don't have to out yourself. Use your confirmation name. We don't take any anonymous because we're a family, and you don't really have a family members, and you're going to say hello anonymous. Okay, it just doesn't sound very family like. So use your confirmation name if you don't want to out yourself. But I'm just curious, or have you been a victim of any kind of crime or something on social media? I know there's all these scams and everything. I'm just curious, what is your take on the use of it? Especially, I think Facebook, people post way too much, Jerry. They post everything about their marriage, about their finances, about their problems, about their medical situation. I think it's really, now, if you want prayers, that's great. That is amazing. But when you start to divulge these really deep things and you're putting it out there and all these people and friends of people are reading it, I don't know. What do you feel about that? I think it's problematic.
Well, we talked about the good side of it. I remember here just a couple months ago, my nephew Isaac, in your area, Debbie, in the Phoenix area, in the hospital, COVID, on a ventilator, not expected to live. My sister-in-law and many others, but my sister-in-law Anita used Facebook big time to get prayers around the world, and we all believe that helped turn his situation around and helped to save his life. So it's a really, really good thing. But also at the same time, Debbie mentioned, being victims of scams. You get advertising. It's all about making money for the the owners and producers of these platforms. So let's hear your take on this. 833-288-3986. Basic question. Could you live without social media? If you had to just put it down today and not pick it up again, do you think you could do that? That's an interesting question. 833-288-3986.
We're having folks weigh in on YouTube and Facebook. We're waving to you. Thanks, you guys. And also you can email us. Email us at take2@ewtn.com. Or you can text us. You text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response and text your first name in, question, comment, and then tell us where you're listening from. It could be some data rates that apply, but don't worry about those. They're so minor. Anyway, we want to get your text message, but really we want to hear your bright and shining voice. So you need to call in right now. There's a couple open phone lines. Please jump on one of them. We need to hear from you. Listen, we want to hear from you, but we need to hear from you. You are the catechists. Okay, please step up. This is ministry. This is a virtual ministry that's working in people's lives. And people counted on Catholic radio all through the pandemic. They use it as a lifeline. They use it as a chance to get formed in the faith. So please, you don't have to be Catholic to call in. We consider you part of the Take Two family. It's Monday. We know you're busy. You got a long list to do, but you could take maybe 5 or 10 minutes and call us. 833-288-3986. That was a little healthy Catholic guilt there.
Yeah, it was. All right, without further delay, we're going to go to the phones. Our good friend and brother in Christ, Jose in Denver, Colorado, listening on the EWTN app today. Hi, Jose. You get to start us off. How are you?
Pretty good. I hope you guys are doing well, trying to stay warm. We got some snow yesterday, and we have another round Wednesday, so yay.
Oh, good.
Yay for snow.
Right.
Anyway, social media. Yay for social media. It's a blessing and a curse if you think about it. I'm a millennial, you guys know. So we've been exposed from Ataris to iPhones to anything in between since the early 2000s. We're going to say early 2000s for us, when technology started taking big steps towards the future. One thing that is curious to me, look at the F of Facebook. Examples of person looking down. And it's technically what we do. If you look at that F, it's literally a person looking down. And if you portray us using our phones, it's literally what we're doing, looking down. We are missing so much of life because we spend so much time looking down. At the same time, it's a blessing because that's how I watch Mass every day. At night, when I get home, is this shrine in Mexico that my mom loves. This is the title of Our Lady, and they have daily Mass in the evenings, and I take advantage to watch Mass every day. But at the same time, as a blessing, we use it towards bad things, towards having our own opinion in certain matters, either political, religious, family, and we sometimes tend to be really, really ugly, and we have the tendency to say things that I wouldn't say to your own face because we have this shield that we are behind a computer, a phone, a tablet, you name it. And again, it's good for evangelization because, you can sit down and watch the Fathers of Mercy from Boston. I'm not in Boston, I'm in Denver. But it's a great window to sit down and watch Father Menendez on Saturday mornings for an hour preach about the gospel. Or right now in Lent, I watch Mass in the morning at 6 a.m. from EWTN, and I watch again Mass at 7 p.m. in Spanish. So I take advantage of that. But how much are we willing to put that aside and sit down and quiet? I told you this before, Jerry. You go to adoration once a week, I believe. And I start copying that from you. And that's when media give us the advantage of learning from others. I use social media a lot because I have family in Mexico and I can FaceTime them, have a conversation with them live. I haven't been in Mexico for 20 years. I might be able to finally be able to visit maybe next year. But if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be able to even see events. Like recently, it was the installation of the bishop of where my mom is from, and I was able to see the whole service. I was able to see a lot of different events. I'm able to see different things like the Dubai Expo that is happening right now. At the same time, we are able to see what's going on in Russia. We are able to see what the Pope says immediately. So those are the good things about social media. But at what point we put the phone down and, in my case, go up to the mountains and just admire everything that is around me without taking pictures and showing everyone what I'm doing. Know everything that I'm doing needs to be put out there. I need that privacy. I have been able to travel to a lot of places, and I show people. I put this as an experiment. I was in El Paso just a few weeks ago, and I ironically put that I was in Juarez rather than El Paso. They are so close to each other. And put a picture of the cathedral there. And 3 minutes later, my family in Mexico was questioning how come I was in Juarez and I didn't make a trip all the way down to where they are from, deep in Mexico. We take sometimes that for gossip, and we need to learn to live life without social media or have a time for ourselves. I dedicate 1 hour a week on Tuesdays to go and stay with the Blessed Sacrament and put the phone down. But sometimes we are in Mass, and we are looking down at the phone because people are like, oh, I'm reading the readings here. How come you just take a book? Get the book and read there. You don't need to be on your phone 24/7. There's no need for that. There's no need for me to say my political opinions. Those are my personal opinions, and if I don't like it, I go and vote and get it done. But I'm not going to get an outrage because I don't agree with the Bishop of San Francisco had to say. That's my personal opinion. I don't have to call him names.
Right. Well, you know, Jose, you've made so many good points, and even at church, I didn't feel really comfortable doing this at first, but now I am, because I always make sure. Well, I shouldn't say always. I got a little story to tell you, a funny story from Mass this morning. But I have the Magnificat on my phone. It's just easier, and you know, you can put so many things on your phone. Beautiful Catholic spiritual apps and so forth. Hallow, the beautiful Hallow app, and things like that. And so I read the Magnificat readings and the meditations each morning as I'm preparing for Mass. I just had to say this morning, just last night, I was thinking to myself, you know, I don't think I've ever had my phone in church and it's rang before. Guess what happened this morning? I had a reminder set, and so I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, there goes my phone, and I just turned around and looked at everybody, and you know, what can you do at a point like that? But anyway, back to your points. I think many of them are so very, very good. You talked about sitting down in quiet, going in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Leave your phone alone. We had our weekend youth confirmation retreat this past weekend. I helped out at that, and the kids were told, parents, you've got to drop your kids off, and you keep their phones. They cannot bring their phones in there. One of the things I was curious to see was how, you know, were they going to start to get fidgety and nervous and kind of feeling around in their pockets and wondering where their phone was? The sisters who put on the retreat did such a great job. I don't think the kids ever even thought about that. See, if we engage them with really high quality, meaningful, deep kinds of things that are going to touch them at the core of their being, especially their spiritual being, these kinds of things can kind of fade out of our memory at times, and they don't retain that central part of our lives like they do during most of our daily lives. I'm talking a lot, Debbie. Go ahead.
No, I feel bad that your phone went off. Was it embarrassing?
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
How my voice assistant thing went off.
I turned to a lady behind me. I says, "Time to get up."
Oh, you got to laugh. But Jose, thank you so much for your call and your contribution today. Like you said, being a millennial, I think it really helps us to shape this conversation. And you talked about people looking down and they're looking at their devices. And I sometimes I watch that show where they show people, you know, on phones and they're walking, you know, on a busy street and they bang into a telephone pole or something. And, you know, that's really, you can really hurt yourself. You could, you know, people have fallen into ditches and stuff and really hurt themselves doing that. But I think there's also another bigger picture to that. And I think you were talking about that. This idea that we're looking down, we are definitely compromising ourselves. We're limiting ourselves to the ability to see what's around us, to see God in those that we encounter. You know, we really are meant to look up, actually, in a sense, because when we are just you know, focusing so in such a direct, small way, looking down, it really does, I think, create a perfect platform, if you will, for the demons, because they have our attention, because we're so limited at that point. So I just wanted to say that too, when people just, you know, think about that for a moment. So many people are looking at the top of your heads because everybody's looking down, and that is so true. It's not really a connection. We're meant for community, and what that means is a soul to soul connection. And Jose, I was joking because I was going to be facetious with you when you said about reading a book, and I was going to say, book, what's that? How do you spell that? Because It just bothers me so much how there's, I remember when we used to all gather at libraries and there was reading events and all sorts of things happening, and people actually had books in their home libraries, which I still do. Actual books, real books that you can open up and flip the pages. And it's so sad that we're losing all that. And then also, like, look at even our writing ability. We don't even know how to write or print properly, or in script or cursive writing. We don't know how to do that as well because we're constantly have our fingers on a keyboard. Anyway, it's just some interesting things. So I totally agree with you, Jose. What do you think? Any last words?
I just want to say, let's put our phones down. This weekend I was up at the Loveland Pass, some 11,000 feet above sea level. When you put your phone down, you start living life, and you start to see the greatness of God. And, 11,000 feet above sea level, top of the Rockies, you get to see how wonderful God is. And the worst thing that can happen when you put your phone down is that you start seeing reality. Reality hit you, and there you go. You go from there.
Amen. You got it, Jose. You nailed it, brother. As always, thank you for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, talking about social media habits today. TJ in Toledo is going to be up next. What about you? Please join us.
I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN Bookmark Brief, speaking with Father Bill Watson about a book, Romek and Wanda, the great political faith and love story of the 20th century. Who is this couple? Why should we care?
Romek was the highest-ranking communist official who ever defected to the West. He had positions of leadership as ambassador in Argentina, India, the U.S. under two presidents, John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. And he fed information to Pope John Paul II when he was getting ready to defect on what was happening inside of the Communist Party. They're great political figures of the 20th century. Wanda was a lifelong communicant. Romek was an avowed atheist and a communist. He converted. Cardinal Kroll baptized him, and he said it was the height of his life, and he finally felt at one with the suffering people of Poland.
Romek and Wanda, the great political faith and love story of the 20th century, certainly a witness to history. And look for the book at EWTN's Religious Catalog. And this has been a Bookmark Brief. Thanks for stopping by.
You can be a part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Text EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response, then text your first name and question. It's that easy. Message and data rates may apply.
I still have my sanity because of EWTN and listening to your station. Everybody needs to listen to positive things. If you only listen to the negative things, it just gets very bad. If it weren't for your uplifting and wonderful people that conduct your programs, I don't know if I could still be not crying.
EWTN, helping people grow in their love and understanding of God.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Please join us. We're having a very good discussion about the use of social media. Like Jose said, it can be a blessing and it can be a curse. You could be watching Mass and different prayer sessions and Bible studies using social media. That's fantastic. And then also there's the other side of it where it really hurts people's reputations. It destroys their lives. It can ruin marriages, all sorts of things. So let's talk about it. Maybe you are one of those special people during Lent that gave it up for Lent. You gave up social media. Tell us how that's going. Maybe you're it's only been a few days, but maybe you're saying, wow, it's great. Or you're having trouble. It's really, you're getting those temptations to just check it just one time just to make sure there isn't something super important on there. So please call us. Are you taking the Sunday grace where everybody gets to do whatever they gave up on Sunday? Maybe you're doing that, and that was just yesterday. We want to hear from you. 833-288-3986. Plenty of time to get in on this discussion. Matt Kavinsky has his hand on the headset. He's ready just to pick up your he's got his headset on. He has his finger on the button ready to answer, and he is waiting to talk to you. Jerry?
As promised, let's go to Toledo, Ohio. TJ is listening on Annunciation Radio. Hi, TJ. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Go right ahead.
How you doing today? You just I was calling. I wanted to talk about. I kind of wanted to bring everyone together, honestly, to realize what we're all the same kind of experience that we're all having in words. Something we can all kind of relate to. One of the biggest reasons I called is because I was going to get my coffee, and I heard her say it sounded like she really needed people to call, and I was like, I wonder if I should call. This is kind of my area. And she kept calling. And then she said, we're family. This is about family and that's why I called. I try to understand things in educational curriculums that break families apart to be able to repair those little flaws in education. But all I really wanted to call and remind everyone about is that right now millennials are getting a lot of the heat because all of the social imperfections we've ever had are pretty much they're empowered when you have that technology behind them. So basically everything we passed on to the next generation, they have what we have, but amplified. And so if people have a problem with the way millennials are going about something, you have to realize those issues were already going on with us. And we can all relate, whether it's great-grandpa all the way up to, whether you're talking about someone who was born when the radio came out, all the way up until now, and actually before then. We're in a time where humanity, only in the past couple hundred years, has been allowed to read. This is not a joke, and it was forgotten. It seems to be forgotten as quick as we got this right. But this is a right that people all over the world have fought for thousands of years, and that's to be able to teach each other to be able to speak languages. It's not something that the public was allowed to do. And we already, even with the print press, we were already going into the era of language where I believe that, what does Christ say? He says there will come a time when everything that you get will come through the word of God, when Satan wants him to turn the stones to bread. And I believe that he's telling you there's going to come a time, it doesn't matter what you can do. What is going to matter is how you're going to be able to use this language. It will make you or break you. And if you're not able to use it correctly, then you have made your choice. Mm-hmm. And I feel that's kind of like what humanity is facing right now, is that choice that God has given us to either figure out how to use it, or you're not going to be able to use it at all, because our technology is emanating the balance that we had, and we're still kind of in the progression of balance and figuring out who the leaders need to be and who the leaders definitely don't need to be.
Interesting.
But yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know, like, this is the era we're in. It's not about computers. Computers made you wake up. You have to realize libraries, it was only 30 years ago, maybe 40, where if someone couldn't read, it wasn't that odd.
That's true.
There were still people who couldn't read 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You go a couple decades before that, you're lucky to have a library where you're from. And people are also forgetting about the United States of America and how hard it is to be a Catholic in the United States of America. You're supposed to be following a strict rule, and then here you go. Here's a country where you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Or you can think. You can read. And so we are as far as libraries go and America goes, that's the big deal about the United States of America is its library. No one ever had backed public education like the United States of America, and that is what shook the world and made a lot of false leaders rise with another war to stop what was going on over here. It wasn't because the only reason our technology was growing was because we were the public, people who usually weren't allowed to read, now could tap into all this stuff.
Right, right.
And so that is what is happening. And it has not, it's people that do not want that to happen have not gotten off our backs since then. And so I just want to remind everybody that we're in this together.
Yeah. Well, TJ, a couple things. I just want to go to the beginning of your call. Thank you so much for responding to my appeal. We do like to have vibrant phone lines, and we do like to have an in-depth discussion from all angles. And in order to do that, you've got to get, an abundance of people to participate. And so we do believe in family, and you are part of our family because you stepped up. So thank you. You don't have to share what you do unless you want to, but you can tell that your level of what you're seeing and how you view it comes from either your experience or your education or what you do for a living. It's obvious that you bring in a perspective that we have not seen. And I think it's fascinating. I could talk to you for hours because you're right. We have evolved from that, and we see where we're at right now, and we think, oh my goodness, this is such a mess, but it's actually been moving along like that. And my question is, how do we, when you talked about balance, how do we keep the balance where we can stay up with things, be fully informed, be well informed, but also still keep a lot of the, the basic foundational principles that keep us kind of, our feet on the ground and more stable? How do we balance all of that? Because sometimes I was talking about communication before, and I was saying that, with the use of all this technology, there's so many kids that can't even write an email. They can't even put together a resume, can't even write in cursive. I mean, we're losing a lot of arts and a lot of ability to do things that were really very helpful to us. Any comments on that? And if you'd like to share what you do, I think we would be very interested.
Yes, I would say the answer really quick is witness, 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 witness. You have a world around you, and that is where the language is based on, is your witness. That's where words come from. And if it's hard for you to think of humanity at a time when a language doesn't exist, just witness your child. Look at your child trying to figure out what it needs to say, what language it's going to create to let you know what's going on within. As far as the education goes, and what I do, I deal with, like I said, education, educational design. It's a subject matter that's not out there yet. So gotcha. It's a very complicated thing because I have to create. It's a different study. I've searched my whole life to find people like mine and that can see and do the things that I do. Mm-hmm. But I haven't really found that yet. The only place I've ever really been able to find that is our books. There's the people that did seem to discuss it are long gone. It's something a parent would naturally do. Is the first thing I think that comes natural to a parent, any parent, would be to protect its child's head more than anything else. The question of what's going on in dreams drove humanity crazy, and an explanation for that is worth to boatloads of gold to a lot of people. But like I said, we are in a time where it's language itself and how it operates and who is in control. That's the new era we're getting into. Mm-hmm. Whether or not these leaders are going to admit that you're going to have to teach people how this whole body works if we're going to go into this era, or that they're going to refuse to teach everyone these things. There's things nobody learns about, and they're hidden in our education, and they're things that you should have learned when we were kids. A lot of people don't know our languages are regulated. Language regulation academies. So there's things that are completely new subjects for people on how it works. But to give you a little example, right now, the internet, we operate the same way as a computer. The computer was made in our image. They copied a human being, how we think. And so you have to put something into a computer for it to even read the language. We already have that. And so we have education to kind of show where we're going to go with it. And then we kind of agree. But still, everybody that's receiving the word receives it through that portion of the mind that nobody gave you. It's that portion of the mind where language came from, and it's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. But of course, we have common grounds because you can understand what I'm saying. But that's what's going on in like I said, witness. That is where it all comes from. Learning how to write. Forget about writing with a sharp-tipped pen. Use a calligraphy pen. There are things about the physical piece of paper in writing that computers will never be able to compete with. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to call. I'd like this, and I'll definitely call you guys again. Maybe we could. I can put something together to show what I do exactly.
Well, you know what you can do, TJ? You can. We have an email address that comes to both me and Debbie. We're not in the same location for the show, but the emails come to both of us, and it's very easy to remember. The show is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and the email address is take2@EWTN.com. I think I can speak for Debbie. I'd be fascinated to see and learn more about what it is that you're talking about. It's rather foreign to me right now, so there's not a lot I can say to comment on some of the things that you have said, but take2@EWTN.com will get you in touch with us off of the air. I just think that, we have to, you made a lot of good points. I think nothing can replace the human mind. We know that. Humans are created in the image and likeness of God. We have the ability to rationally think. We've got all this movement toward artificial intelligence and all of this stuff, sometimes to our detriment. And I personally don't believe there's any way that can ever really replace the human mind, the human heart, the human emotions, things like that. And so those are the things we have to really try and hold on to. And it's just unfortunate that, museums have been around for a long time for a reason. They're really designed to show things that, people used to own and do and have and be, so many such and such years ago. And I just don't want to see things like education, reading, writing, being able to write a letter, like you talked about, legible letter. How many of our young people can sit down and take a pen or a pencil and write a really good letter by hand today? It's been years since I type all of my letters now. But anyway, just a lot of content here, TJ, for us to digest, and we will definitely be doing that here over the next few days. And definitely do get a hold of us at take2@EWTN.com if you'd like to share any further about what you're involved in there.
And we absolutely thank you so very much for calling in and responding. We so appreciate it. That's our Take Two family. So thank you, TJ. Okay, Alex is up next. Although, Jerry, if you wanted to highlight something for our listeners, if you want to grab that, because I want to grab a text message that just came in while TJ was on the line.
Sure. The Chaplet of Divine Mercy, Monday through Friday mornings, 5 a.m. Eastern Time on EWTN Radio. You can join Catholics around the world as we recall in prayer the devotion of St. Faustina to our Lord and, of course, the sacrifice that our Lord made for us. I always say if you offer someone or something to God the Father through the passion and death of his Son, how could God say no to that? The Chaplet of Divine Mercy, Monday through Friday mornings at 5 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Beautiful. And we're going to get to Alex in just a second. We just received a text message while TJ was on the line, and I was responding to his call, and I was talking about the lost art of, real wholesome communication, soul-to-soul communication. And one of our listeners texted in and said that their children, their 3 children, all are literally addicted to their smartphones and their computers. And so much so that they are choosing that over real face-to-face communication and things like that. And then we just heard recently, Jerry, of a survey that came out with our youth recently about their spirituality and their church, what they identify as religion and stuff. And yet the in that survey, the youth they were complaining that they weren't getting enough time. So which is it? Are they getting, they want more time, but do they have to have the phone in one hand and also have that FaceTime, that face-to-face communication? So it's very interesting. I think these phones have really become, especially the phones, a real intrusion to relationships. I really do. And especially when you're going out to lunch or dinner or you're having a meal, and those phones are right there in view. I think it's problematic. But let's hear what Alex has to say. And Alex is in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, Sirius XM 130. Thank you so much for waiting, and welcome.
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
Doing well, Alex. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Hey, I was driving back to work and listening on the radio, and I had to call in because I was a little flabbergasted with a few things. First of all, I will say I do agree social media. I am anti-social media, have zero, because I think it is a detriment to society. But a few things the gentleman said about, sound like a conspiracy theorist, about we've only been allowed to read for a couple hundred years. That's pitifully ignorant to say something like that, because it's the advent of the Gutenberg press that allowed mass distribution. There was not, and because a lot of anti-Catholics will say Catholics didn't let people read the Bible, and that feeds into it, and it's totally not true. We need to be careful with our language, what words we choose, and how we approach things, because it will give evil the means and the fuel to attack us, because language is detrimental to society, passing on history, passing on traditions, but used incorrectly and used, I'll say, frivolously, can be just as big of a detriment to society as social media. So you got to be careful what words you use, how you use them, and the words you choose. Because like the Bible says, it doesn't matter what goes in you, it's what comes out of you. And that's paraphrasing, obviously, but you get the meaning. So, man has been allowed to read. Nothing's been withheld. There was just a time where scholars read to the people because they were working farms. It wasn't like the last couple hundred years where we've had education systems, which I will say the Catholic Church has built. And I'm in the South, and there's a lot of anti-Catholic bias, and they feed off that kind of rhetoric. So I challenge people to be very careful what they say, because the evil one's always looking for a door in to attack the church that Jesus Christ established. So that's all I got to say about that. And I think, we need to continue to fight the good fight. And God bless you guys for what you do.
Oh, Alex, thank you. Deb, did you want to?
Yeah, just don't go yet, Alex. I just want to say thank you so much for stepping up and adding to this conversation. I completely agree with you. I typed over to Jerry. Words are very, very powerful. Words can kill. And the way we construct and present how we communicate, how we express that as the way we connect. It can really either help shape someone, or it can get them on a path that is very far away from what God had intended for them. It's very dangerous. I think people, they always make that comment, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much. And I really believe we talk way too much and we don't listen enough and understand and really pray about and discern before we go out there and make all these changes or spread things where we know that is not going to be for human development and to better people's lives and to get them closer to God. And we're seeing it all the time. And I let me just throw it out there. We only have a few minutes. Alex, we're seeing it with our leaders of our country. Okay, they're saying things that are just flat out lies, and people are following it, because nobody seems to have the time to do the research and fact check. It's really unfortunate, and people are going in a certain direction that is really dangerous. Real quickly, what do you think?
I agree. And in the military, we'd always say, keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. And I will just say this as far as words. I'm married to a fundamentalist. And this last weekend, I was told that she flat out told me she 100% does not trust me to be a leader as a Christian because I'm a Catholic. You think I would rather got shot than been told that? Crushed my soul. But you know what? I'm going to stand for Jesus Christ because that's what matters, and I know He's got my back. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes, but we serve a mighty, mighty God. And no matter what, a St. Augustine can be transformed. I pray to St. Monica, and we all can do our part, pray. And during Lent, the devil's definitely going to attack us, and Satan's gotten bold in America because of our leadership. And I'm going to stand and fight the good fight, because you have to take up the cross daily, continue to fight the good fight, and that's what I'm doing. So God bless you, and God bless America.
Yeah, well, Alex, TJ used a word several times over, witness, 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 and that is what you are already being, and I'm sure going to continue to be to your wife. I'm sure that, like you said, that comment that she made, you said you'd rather have been shot. Well, God's grace can work through your faithfulness, your obedience, your humility, your love of her. I know you know all of this, and amazing things have happened in similar relationships. So we are definitely going to keep you and your wife in that situation in our prayers. And we just really thank you for your contribution to the program, especially, as you were talking about, the reading and so forth. My mind went immediately to Luke chapter 4 when Jesus opened the scroll and read, to the leaders at the time, and he said, today this prophecy is fulfilled in your hearing. It's just that we've gotten, I think, away from reading to a certain extent. That's why we're seeing a lot of classical curricula starting to be offered, classical education schools, the great books, writing, reading, things like that. And of course, there's always been ways of telling the salvation story without reading, because, like you said, the illiteracy or the inability to have the time for many people to read, and the lack of the printing press and so forth. Stained glass windows, for example, have forever been telling the salvation story. It's a way of reading our faith through what is created in the windows and not murals. What am I thinking of, Debbie? You love them. Icons and stained glass windows and stuff. So
that's right.
Yeah.
An oral tradition, to talking to one another. Absolutely. Alex, if you need any added support at all, please, if you feel prompted, email us, please. We would happily journey with you. Stay strong, Alex. It sounds like your interior, conviction, the way your focus is, it's a good thing. And you're right. I believe that in Lent, marriages, relationships are going to be attacked from all angles, because Satan is having a field day right now, and we have to stay focused and like Jose said at the beginning of this show, look up, stop looking down in your phones and look up and stay close to Jesus. Alex, or anyone else, if you'd like to email us, we read everything and we do respond. We'll hopefully respond this year, okay? At take2@EWTN.com.
Wow, we had a lot of social media and email. Sorry that we're not get to any of those today, but thank you all, Take Two family. You are amazing. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what is the best compliment you have ever received. What's the best compliment you've ever received? That's tomorrow on the program. Thanks to Debbie. I'm Jerry Escher, the show team. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the show. Have a beautiful and blessed day. St. Joseph, pray for us.
The EWTN home video highlight for March is Christendom. Journey back to a time when Christianity formed every